Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2023 first meeting of the Senate Transportation Committee. And here's what we're going to do real quick. We have a few members who are just a moment or two away from getting here. So we're going to gavel in here and take the initial roll. And then we're going to be able to do proxies, and then we'll stand at ease for a moment or two, and then we'll go through introductions, and then we'll start on the bills that we have before us today. So, with that, Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Let's stand at ease for 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes, and then we will commence with the Secretary of Transportation, who has kindly agreed to be here today to update us on things going on within the Secretariat and some of the work they've done over the past year. So we can just give another few moments for people to arrive. There was some guests in town that they had to attend to. So just give it 2 more minutes, and we'll be on our way. Let's come back to order. I'd like to start out with some introductions, and if I could start down with the good Senator Spruill and have him introduce himself and his district, and then we'll move down the.
Senator Spruill, statewide.
Thank you. Adam Eben, Alexandria, Arlington, and Fairfax.
Jennifer McClellan, Richmond, you're in my district, so welcome. Henrico, Charles City County, and Ashland.
And Senator Cosgrove.
I'm Senator John Cosgrove, the 14th Senate District, encompassing Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Isle of Wight, Portsmouth, and the city of Franklin.
Vice Chair.
Bill D. Steff, Virginia Beach. Dave Suderline, Roanoke Valley, and parts of Southwest Virginia.
Mark Obenshain, Interstate 81.
Right on. Todd Pillion, the Great Southwest.
And my right-hand person here.
I like to be to the right of somebody. Senator Favola, representing parts of Arlington, Fairfax, and Loudoun.
And I am Senator Dave Marsden. I will be your chairman, and I'm from Fairfax County. And if we could start, we have, you could see how many people they needed to assign down here today to keep an eye on me. So at any rate, I'd like to start here at the far end. We have a legal extern, and then move down the from your left to right, my right to left, and introduce yourself.
Deandra Musgrave, legal extern for Division of Legislative Services.
Emma Buck, Division of Legislative Services.
Nikhil Edward, Legislative Services.
Michael Jackson, Committee Clerk, Senator Virginia.
Joe Andrews, volunteer.
Claire Dunn, Senate Committee Operations.
Hannah Dockery, Senate Committee Operations.
All right, thank you very much. Is former Senator Carrico still in the audience? Where is he?
Big guy.
Oh, there he is. I just wanted to introduce the former chairman and someone I have great admiration for, who chaired this committee prior to me and now is with the State Police Association. But Bill, you left big shoes to fill. I hope I've yeah, literally. But at any rate, it's good to have you here, and you can give me my scorecard when we're all done here. All right, thank you very much. Okay, just a couple things. We will have opportunities for 4 committee meetings today and the following 3 Thursdays. I'm hoping to. We just have a few bills today. But that in the next 2 weeks, we'll finish the rest of the docket. We have a few somewhat controversial bills that will be coming before us. And then the last Thursday, hopefully we won't have to meet, but if there's any kind of cleanup activity that we need to do because bills had to go by or they needed more time, we'll do that. But I'm hoping that the final meeting would be very brief and just covering up a few things. The standing rule of the committee will be, if there are identical or close to identical bills, is that we will roll the lower numbered bill into the the higher numbered bill into the lower numbered bill, regardless of political party. That'll be a standing rule of the committee this year. And that's all I have in terms of announcement. And I'm very pleased that I asked the Secretary of Transportation, Shep Miller, to be with us today to brief us on some of his off-season activity and how he sees the state of the world in terms of transportation. So with that, Secretary Miller, please assume the podium, and thank you very much for being here, and we're anxious to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senators. Appreciate you all having me here today, and let me make a couple introductions of my team, if you will, because one of them you have not met before, but I'll start with our veteran, John Lawson. John's a deputy in our Transportation Secretariat. Many of y'all know John because he's been around over 30 years. Former VDOT CFO, and he's been in transportation for a long time. So he's the experience in the group, the long experience in the group. Next to him in the green is a new deputy. It's joined us from the Washington, D.C. work area, but a Richmond gal, Rachel Jones. Rachel is a new deputy here in town. Rachel has a background in lots of things. She has a law degree and lots of experience up on the Hill. She was last with the National Association of Manufacturers, working with small and large businesses, and so she's going to be joining she has joined our team, so we're excited to have her. And then Michael Sargent, who you met before as well, just been promoted to deputy, so join me in congratulating him. He was a former assistant and showed his real worth, and so he's been recently promoted, so we're excited to have him in that new role. So appreciate it. If you recall, last time I was here initially, we were talking snow, and I said we're laser focused, and we were, and we did okay, I think, Senator. Well, actually, it snowed a few times since. We had 3 states of emergency, but we were able to work our way through them through great coordination and a lot of hard work. And as you know, in transportation, safety is really the most important thing that we do in everything that we do in transportation. Right? It's the first thing we talk about, and so I'm going to start with safety. At the end of the day, there's way too many people getting killed on Virginia highways. There are way too many people getting killed on America's highways, and it's only getting worse. It continues to tick up. We're a little bit higher than last year. It looks like we'll end up, or excuse me, in 22, the final numbers are a little bit higher, but it's like 1,000 folks are dying on our roads. And as I say to people, I said, you know, I know it's not exactly the same, but if you had 3 airliners that crashed every year, in Virginia, and 1,000 people died from that. I wonder what our reaction would be. And yet, that's the same number of people. It just happens ones and twos and threes and fours at a time. So we're working really hard throughout transportation to try to push those numbers down. And it's the typical stuff you know about. It's distracted driving. It's impaired driving. The cell phones are killing us. The lack of people wearing seatbelts, et cetera. So we're continuing to push on those, and we will continue to do that. We had 3 studies that you sent us, Senator, Mr. Chairman. One was Senator McPike's bill, State of Good Repair. That was a really important bill for us to look over and to be a part of the discussion on. We sent it back to you and basically said we love it. It was all about cusp bridges, and basically what we've done is we've gone deeper into the pile of bridges in terms of when we start to repair them. Before, we waited for them to get bad enough to sort of really do major repairs, and that's the way our system worked. And as we've worked through that inventory and taken a bit of a different approach, we're now trying to get bridges to quit getting to that point. So we're getting to them earlier and extending their life. It does, really one thing. One, it keeps it safe, but 2, it saves us money in the long term. So very important. The last one you asked us to look at was second one you asked us to look at was one of your studies, Mr. Chairman, on towing and towing rates, particularly on the interstate. It continues to be a problem. We're working through that. We did have a group that continues to work. We've got some solutions, but we're not finished there yet, and we'll continue to work on that as we indicated to you. And finally, there was some vehicle history study you wanted us to do from Senator Reeves. We've concluded that. We think we're in a good place. I talked to Senator Reeves about it. He thinks we're in a good place. And it's basically now allowing people to go in and change crash reports from cars that they own but didn't own when the crash happened, and other things like that. So I think we're in pretty good shape with those 3 studies. So what have we been working on in our spare time during the summer when we were hanging out the beach? Well, we all know about the GAP, Senator. The GAP money that y'all were kind enough to give us, we actually have started that project, and we went out for requests for qualifications last week on that project, so we're getting going. We have not finished all the financing yet, but we're committed to find that and get that done. 81, really important, Senator, to talk about 81. It's a priority for all of us. We know how difficult it is out there. I will tell you this, y'all have allowed us to spend about $2.7 billion on that project and work on it in our plan until about 2033. So we've got about 10 years left in our plan to do what we need to do. To date, we've spent a little less than 8% of the money. And so some of the problem is that we've done some good operational stuff and some quick win stuff, but you don't really feel it so much, right? Because we've only spent 7 or 8% of the project yet. And so we're doing all this work, but we're not feeling it, we're not seeing it. And we got a 10-year life on this project to get it done. So we're going to continue to look for ways to advance it, to add to it, to make it better, et cetera. But that's where we are today on 81. We've initiated a smart scale review. It's a very comprehensive look that we'll do over the next year to look at various factors that we're using and try to improve that program a bit. We all think it's a good program in its concept, but we think it can be better by some improvement, and so we're looking to do that. And specifically, I would tell you that one of the problems with Smart Scale is that it's not forward-looking, right? It addresses problems. It doesn't address things that are going to be a problem. And so we can see those problems are coming, but our system doesn't allow us to fix it before it gets there. And that's particularly important in economic development opportunities. Classically, somebody wants to come build something really big and hire a lot of people and really pay them well, and the infrastructure doesn't support that site. And they come to us and they say, well, and we said, we'd love to help you. It's called Smart Scale. You got to make an application. We got to go through NEPA. We got to do this. We got to do that. And you got to compete with your fellow colleagues on whether you get the money or not. And oh, by the way, we'll know in about 7 years whether we can finish this up for you. And they say, thank you very much, and they go to North Carolina. And that's what happens. And we just don't have flexibility to do the kinds of things that we need to do in Smart Scale to get to those things that we need to do quickly and that everybody sort of agrees to, but we just don't have a mechanism. So we're working on that. To that end, there's a governor's bill that will come before you all in this session on the Transportation Opportunity Fund, which we've looked to expand. And we're looking to expand that in a couple ways. One is to drive some money out of the infrastructure bank that's not being utilized very well. And we'd move that over into this new piece of the Opportunity Fund. And we would also allow the governor to ask the legislature each year for $100 million or $200 every biennium, up to that. And the max that could sit in the pot at any one time is $300 million. And so we're just looking for a little bit of a fund so that we can move on some of these projects, no matter where they are across the state. We just don't have those tools to do those things now, and we're losing jobs and opportunity because of it. We also have a mass transit bill in. It's another governor's bill, which is basically modernizing the formula for VRE and for commuter rail. So previously, commuter rail was judged like it was a bus route because that's the tool that we had. It's not a bus route and it doesn't work in the bus scoring system in terms of how it gets funded. So what we did is we looked at the funding that's gone to them over time, and we sort of used that as a benchmark. We combined both their capital and operating budgets and said, let's give them 3.5% of this fund, which is approximately what they were getting before, so that now we're not competing inside the bus program, the transit program. And that also helps us primarily, or not primarily, but substantially, when you have these big ticket capital items. They tend to come in and they eat up all the money that's available. So we'll be funding that on a steady state basis, 3.5% a year if you all allow us to do that. And that will be a big help in terms of having a identifiable stream that doesn't interfere with the other work that we're trying to do. Mr. Chairman, you also know we've got a Greenway bill that we're advancing and supporting. For many years, over a decade, the Greenway has been a problem in Northern Virginia where nobody seems to be happy with it, and we were asked to try to tackle that and try to bring a deal to the table. So what we've asked, and we've had numerous meetings with Loudoun County folks, as well as the rest of our team, the Greenway folks and others. And I think there's a path forward. I mean, I know some people are on board and some people aren't. We're chasing a number of things. We're chasing a decrease in toll rates. We're chasing distance-based tolling. Those are the two primary things that we're trying to accomplish up there. And when we do that, if we allow us to do that, if you allow us to negotiate this deal out of the Highway Corporation Act and take it potentially into a P3, we think we can deliver less toll rates, distance-based tolling, some sort of payment to Loudoun, because right now they're getting tax money, substantial tax money, because it's a private entity that's paying it. If it became a P3, it would not. So we're working through all those details, but I think there's a path forward, and I think people are just going to have to sort of get on board and do it, or else it's just going to continue the way that it is. And it needs to improve, and I think we can do that, and I think everybody will win. We're looking at bidirectionality on I-95 on the express lanes. So as you know, as you drive, we always seem to be going the wrong way. And my governor, my chief particularly love that. And you know, every time I go up there, I'm going the wrong way. And so the question is, can we make those bidirectional? What will that cost? How will we do it? We're deep into that now to try to figure it out. I think we can. I think we've got a reasonable path forward, but I can't tell you that now with certainty. But we're going to look at it and try to continue to open up that corridor. DMV, you know, top on the list when we started on day one game plan. We're not finished by any matter of means, but wow, what a radical change we've had. You know, when we started, it depends on sort of what data you look at, but basically we're close to 40 minutes of wait time on average across the Commonwealth. That means once you got your ticket and you sat down in your seat, it was 40 minutes before you got called to that desk. And then whatever happened after that happened after that. Didn't include any snake line coming in either. If you were waiting to get your ticket, didn't include that. But it was 38, 39, 40 minutes. It's constantly and steadily around 11 right now, 40 to 11. It's just radically changed. And that's not the only thing that we're doing there, but it is what the public sees first. And I would ask all of y'all, if you have a reason to go to DMV and let me know how it goes. I've sent a lot of people. I've had very few bad situations arise. Everybody's coming back saying, man, people are smiling at me. They're saying thank you. They're getting my stuff done. Now, it's not 100%, but we're working. We got a lot of work to do, but we're working hard on it. Major projects. We got some huge major projects, as you know. The biggest one we've ever had, Ant Rose Bridge Tunnel. We've got stuff in Northern Virginia and across the state. There's billions of dollars that we're spending. We're very focused on trying to do this on time and on budget, and I will tell you it's the hardest thing we do. You've got these massive, complicated projects, and to try to make sure they stay on time and on budget is hard. And you don't have 100% control. You got a contractor, you got subs, you got all sorts of conditions that change. And so we're working really hard. We're doing okay. Nothing's perfect in my view yet, but we're doing okay in that regard. And we'll continue to really focus on that so we can bring those projects home for our citizens. The port is on a huge roll. Record volume, record profits, and frankly, y'all have made that happen with a lot of other people. And you made it happen by over $1 billion of investment over the last numbers of years. And IT North and IT South, the deepening and widening of the harbor is just critically important. We will have, by far, the deepest, widest harbor on the East Coast of the United States, bar none. That's what we will have when we're finished. And we're starting to get shipments direct from Asia to Norfolk, Virginia. That is really, really important to shippers. Okay, they want to be first on, they want to be first off, they want to be your first call. And so that's really happening. And we got people going crazy looking for land to try to build support structure for the port. And one of the problems we have is sites and infrastructure. Imagine that. So we're working really hard. But they are facing recession. It's going to slow down. The port is going to see some tightening as the supply chain reacts to the inflation and everything else, and it will slow some. We're still pretty confident. I was at a board meeting 2 days ago. We're still pretty confident, but it's going to slow some. Virginia Space, wow, that is a cool place. And what a cadence we have out there. Again, investments the Commonwealth has made. Thank you all very much. We have 4 launches lined up right now. We got more coming. And most importantly, the demand continues to grow across the world to come to Wallops Island to launch rockets. I've had many conversations with people outside the United States who are looking at Wallops and talking about how do I get there and how do I do it. And so this demand is only going to increase over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years as more people try to put more satellites into the Earth's orbit. So we're very excited about the opportunity there, and obviously Rocket Lab moving a facility from New Zealand up there and establishing a presence in the Commonwealth and launching their rockets from there is very important to us, along with our other customers. And finally, I'll talk a little bit about trains and buses. Amtrak, record ridership. Virginia Breeze, the commuter bus line, or the bus line we have, it's not a commuter line, it's the bus line we have in the west part of the state, record ridership. New River Valley train, on track, no pun. It's on schedule. Excited about that. So what's not so good? WMATA, it's not so good. Got a new CEO, really excited about him. A lot of work to do in WMATA. Huge deficit looming. Not really sure how we're going to deal with that. We've got a lot of work to do there. And we're, it's a multi-state, multi-jurisdictional beast with the federal government, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia in it, and it's complicated. But we got to do something because they won't be able to pay their bills in 2 years. That's the fact. So we're working on that. VRE, I talked about getting them out and getting them in their own funding stream. Another problem. What a great line that has been for the Commonwealth. Stack full of people rolling into D.C. It's now at 20 to 25% occupancy. It was 100 with people hanging out the windows. It's at 25 a year later, 2 years later. And the question is, when's it come back? Does it ever come back? And it's all dependent on Washington, D.C. It's the people that are not going into the federal government. They're not going to work. So we're watching it. Our funding has performance metrics in it. So if they're not hitting some of those, we can pull some money back. But at the end of the day, the traditional subway, the metro, and VRE are troubled because of the change in commuting. And we're not sure when that's coming back, but we're not giving up on them. We're going to wait and see, be careful, see how it fleshes out, and go from there. So that's sort of the highlight, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry to take so much of y'all's time this morning, but
No, not at all. It was
bit of a picture.
great information.
And the rest of the time, we've just been on the beach, hanging out, and loving life.
Well, and I certainly appreciate the fact that Route 66 outside the Beltway, on time, on budget. They were the day we were inaugurating the Silver Line out at Dulles Airport. Driving home in a pouring rain, they were all working.
They were.
To get that done. I've had meetings up in Northern Virginia with the Transportation Alliance, and at 15,000 foot, you kind of have a situation where, because of the pandemic and because of the changes it brought to our work patterns and what have you, it's difficult to get people into the slug lines. That used to go up and down 95. That grew organically, and the state caught up to it by providing them with the lots. And now at 66, it's a little bit different, trying to stimulate that kind of activity among people. So we're talking about that because we want people to use those roads and clear out the regular lanes so that people can move at speed there and make that work. And one of the things I've noticed too, and you're probably experienced it, I notice it in speaking with the folks at the parks, is that you can provide folks with a lot of money, but they have to have the capacity to use it and get it done quickly. It's not just a matter of money sometimes. It is a question of capacity to get things done. And we need to get more people working, and we need to get people out to do that. And it's good for a Randolph-Macon guy like myself to hook up with the only Hampton-Sydney guy I would like to partner with in the as Secretary of Transportation, and I just have a lot of faith in the work that you are doing, and I thank you and your staff for the focus they have put on transportation.
Mr. Chairman, if I might say, it was very kind of you. I know you stepped outside of your limits of transportation, but to offer to help Hampton-Sydney with indoor plumbing.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's the purview of the Transportation Committee.
That is going to be a focus this year.
But we certainly did appreciate the offer.
We're going to bring that to Hampton-Sydney. At any rate, are there other questions from the panel? Senator DeSteph.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I was actually going to make a motion to combine bills and eliminate 40% of your agenda today.
So moved. We're going to we'll get ahead of ourselves here, but we'll have Senator DeSteff's Senate bill.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 1009, if we can roll it into
to Senate Bill 847, and that you would be listed as chief co-patron?
And have it pass by for the day, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Record. Oh, excuse me. That's a recorded vote. We need to do that. So, would you open the roll? Who's got Sir
Senator Favola.
There you go. Did you get Sir Valsa?
Yes again.
There you go. I think
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The motion passes. Other questions for the Secretary?
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Newman.
First, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Great to have you. Thank you for the work you've done. I think we have in our area, we have 2 DMVs and noticed vast improvement in both, and I know that's not easy. Before I got here, we were in another committee. Did you discuss 64 and the money we put into that and
Yes,
progress?
sir.
If you did, then I'll catch up from another guy, but that...
It was very quick and succinct. I appreciate what y'all have done. We have started. We
Okay.
got our first request for qualifications on the street about a week or 10 days ago. We have not completed all our financing for the entire project yet, but we'll get that done. But we've started the process. We're ready to get going.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming today.
That's passed by. Yep. Yes, Senator Evan.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, you mentioned VRE and Metro not having returned to ridership to the magnitude that needs to be producing the revenue that we were counting on. How much money are we talking about that between Metro and VRE that we need to make up?
Well, VRE is not, we put directly into VRE only like $12, $13 million a year. We put a lot into WMATA, either through the funding we give to the localities. But I think the WMATA cliff is somewhere in the $200 million range, operating cliff, if you will. So that's not us, that's all of us. But at the end of the day, they're facing a huge, and they've been living off the COVID money. That's why the cliff hadn't happened before now. I mean, the fare box does not carry any of these folks, right? It just doesn't. So they've been living off COVID money. They've got real problems, structural problems, and it's not going to get better until something changes structurally. The ridership is not going to fix WMATA's problem. It'll help, but there's a $200 million, $180 million, somewhere in that range problem, and we just got to dig in and figure it out. And unfortunately, it's harder the more entities involved. It's harder to do. We can't just decide ourselves what to do here and go do it, right? We got to bring a lot of other folks along. So.
Yeah, thank you. And I believe Senator Favola had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary, for joining us. At one time, and I think we've even mentioned this in legislation, I am hopeful that VDOT takes a more progressive approach in encouraging, designing, and supporting projects that provide more connectivity so road travelers can get to either bus transit or metro transit if that is their desire. At the end of the day, our goal needs to be to move more people rather than cars. And I would think you would agree with that. It reduces congestion, reduces maintenance dollars, and it's incredibly good for the environment. And I would argue it's good for people's mental health because they're not, stuck in traffic. So to the degree we can encourage more connectivity and even make that, a criteria, I think that would give me a sense we're heading in the right direction.
I think interconnectedness is a worthy thing that we are trying to shoot at. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I would tell you, I was in San Diego moons ago when they had a light. I went out and looked at their light rail system, and it was great, except it didn't go to the airport. Like, you rode around, I'm like, why didn't it go to the airport? Like, everybody wants to go to the airport, and it doesn't go there. In any case, one mode of travel to another.
Other questions for the Secretary? Secretary Miller, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Great information. We continue to support the work of our folks who are dealing with our vital transportation network in Virginia. It's the road to safety. It's the road to our economic future, and we appreciate your engagement in making that happen. So thank you, and to all the folks who are in the audience who work in your secretariat. We appreciate your work.
I appreciate
very
all the help
much.
that y'all give us and the guidance and the pushing and pulling. That's really seriously appreciated.
Okay, great deal. Have a great day. Thanks so much for being
Thanks
here.
for having us.
All right, one other thing, if I could get a motion to have Senate Bill 1069 pass by for the day. All right, is that a recorded vote just on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 1069 is by the way. That leaves us with two bills, and we'll start with Senator Spruill. Senator Spruill, you have Senate Bill 855. Could you come on up to the podium there and tell us all about it?
Mr. Chairman, members, Good afternoon. 855 was brought to me by many citizens. Blue headlights refer to an Exxon gas, a high-intensity discharge. Both are used considered dangerous and is an upgrade. And to a certain point, it has been approved to a certain point. So what I want to do is ask the lawyer to read for me very briefly the small portion of 46.2, 1020, and 46.2, 1022. One deal with, I believe, what the public can do, and one deal with what the police can or can't do. So if y'all can do that, I know lawyers take a long time to talk. If you can just give me a short version on just those two so you can have an idea of what I'm trying to do.
Mr. Chairman, in 46.2-1022, law enforcement vehicles may be equipped with steady burning blue or red warning lights of types approved by the superintendent. And in section 46.2-1020, regarding other lights, nothing in this section shall permit any vehicle not otherwise authorized to be equipped with colored emergency lights, whether blinking or steady burning.
Thank you so much. And that's what we're getting at when someone say it is prohibited to a certain extent to use some of these lights. This is a problem. Let me start with the hazard lights. What they're doing with the blue hazard lights, they're driving behind you and they turn the hazard lights on, off and on, off and on, and you think it's a policeman. That's one problem, and you stop. But let's suppose you are in an area where it's not safe, you don't know what to do, whether it's stopping or not stopping, they're doing that. Second is the headlights. They use the blue headlights when it rains. The headlights sometimes when it rains sometimes can blind you when you see it because it's blue. Thirdly, they're using all kind of blue lights. So it's not just one type, all kind of blue lights. So to me is how do you distinguish when a car comes behind you and maybe they blink the lights, those hazard lights on and you stop? You don't know what could have happened. So how can we distinguish that? So if we are trying to say we want to be able to distinguish that light different than what the law enforcement is trying to do. So I talked to my friend, where is that? Talk to my friend and I say, be nice to me. I know what the law says. But this problem is this, we're not getting what the law says. The kids now, but they have gone too far that it could be a safety for some folks when those lights get behind you and start blinking, you know who it is. So we're trying to say, let the blue light stay just as the code says. And also we are trying to say, we want to make sure and make it safe for our citizens. And that's what it is. Last, a study by the Department of Transportation found that 88% of drivers dislike driving towards blue headlights. Moreover, the study suggests that many drivers contribute the glaze from the blue lights to a rising nighttime accident. The VDOT has not taken, the Department of Transportation has not taken any actions in spite of these studies. So what can we do? So we made the law to give some leeway. We can take it away from them. Let's make it safe for our citizens. That's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you, Senator Spruill. Are there any questions for Senator Spruill before we hear from the audience? Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Senator Spruill two questions that I've got on my mind. The first is, do our neighbor states prohibit this practice? So North Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Maryland?
I don't know.
And I don't know, I guess that's sort of a question to everyone. If anyone happens to have that information, it's welcome. And then my second question is, if this were to go into effect, would this be a primary offense? I guess that's sort of a question for council.
Yes.
Council, did you have an opinion on that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the second question?
The question is, if, as the bill is before us, if the General Assembly were to pass it, would this be a primary offense so that the police were able to pull over one of these vehicles?
It would be primary.
All right, thank you.
Right. Senator Favola.
Well, as I read the summary, and I can't, I guess LIS is down, so I don't have your specific language in front of me, but I'm reading your summary, and you're talking about with aftermarket modifications. Can that easily be determined? Is that too technical a question, Senator Spruill?
But no, because what we're saying aftermarket, that we found out that when they're installed, sometimes, I'm assuming, I'm hoping I'm getting at what you're talking about, when they're installed, sometimes they install too high or too low, and that's what's causing the problem. Now, you're talking about aftermarket, after you buy the car and they're installed? That's what you're talking about?
Well, I was just reading your summary, so tell me at what point would you be monitoring for
we
this?
checked when I was told that you cannot buy the vehicle with those lights. I was told that, but you have to get them afterwards. That could be wrong. About
So everything would be after purchase then?
That's what I was told.
Okay, so that's a criteria here. Okay, as opposed to, follow-up question, Mr. Chairman. So a police car or law enforcement car, do they have the lights at time of purchase, or are those lights also aftermarket?
Police car, I don't know.
Do you have an answer to that, maybe?
Now, remember, I told you be nice. I'm going to vote for you.
I'm here to answer questions for you. That's all I'm here for. Mr. Chairman, Ron Maxey, Virginia State Police. Some of the questions that have been posed, and Senator Favola. Correct. Senator Favola, with the police vehicles, they are allowed to have the aftermarket lights based on the code section that was cited earlier, so there's a specific code section. So under Virginia code, unless the code allows for a color other than white, it's prohibited. So all vehicles are deemed to be allowed to have a white light. They would have to be allowed in some specific section to have an off-colored light.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Senator Newman.
Mr. Chairman, Senator, I don't know if this is to you or to someone in council. So I'm a little confused. Are we talking about something that is purposely emitting a blue light, or, as you know, there's the new vehicles like my truck, right? I don't know if I like it or not like it, but it's got a white bluish factory light that comes from a different source than the old lights, or the old lights were kind of yellowish, right? Is this something that would prohibit someone from putting in the new lights, like the new manufactured lights? Because if so, I think we may have a problem. If we were as you described, right, I'm fine with that, right? Don't do what it says in line 29, which is tinting or filming the lights. But these new lights that are in every new vehicle tend to have a blue hue to it. I don't like to look at them so much, but they've got that hue. Which one are we talking about, and do we need to distinguish those
the light
two?
you're talking about, sir, that does not show a blue like we're talking about. It show an off-white. Am I?
So it's a bluish. It's a white, but it's got a background. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's so if there is I'm good, right? But if we could just find a way to make sure that isn't outlawed, like you got a new car and you want to get rid of the old inefficient yellow light and you want to put that light in, then we're okay, right? So if you're okay with that, we can work on getting
Yes, sir,
there.
I think so, but that light, if you can flash that off and on, what is that? That won't show like a police car light.
That's right, and I think that gets to your purpose. Maybe I can work with you to make sure we cover that.
Okay, very, very good, Senator Newman. Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Senator Spruill, for bringing this bill forward. In Chesapeake, we have the Great Bridge Bypass, and I see these blue lights coming up behind me all the time, and they are absolutely blue. There's no, question as to whether they are a halogen or whatever. So it is somewhat disconcerting to drivers to have that type of light. So I'm glad you brought this bill forward.
Okay, Senator McClellan.
Yeah, thank you. The first question, I think, is for council. Would, as I read lines 17 and 18 where it talks about aftermarket modifications that cause the headlights to be blue. Would replacing a light bulb be an aftermarket modification, to Senator Newman's point, or not?
Senator,
I mean, because people have to replace light bulbs all the time. Is that a modification, or is that just a maintenance issue?
I think if I could interject here, I think a replacement is entirely different than a modification.
Well, I'm asking legally if we use the word modification, aftermarket modification. I'm not asking what the plain dictionary understanding is. I'm asking if we say aftermarket modification in the code. I'm wondering if we have the right language, or are we creating an unintended consequence, to Senator Newman's point?
Mr. Chairman, it is a little bit unclear, but in the code sections, the superintendent does have some authority to say which ones are allowed, so there could be some leeway there.
Okay, and then, Mr. Chairman, my second question is
Senator McClellan.
to the patron. Do you intend for this to be a primary offense?
If I can get out of here, whatever you say, that's what I intend to be. Well, seriously, I think so it should be, because, yes, ma'am, because it could be harmful to the citizen. That could be. And I think if it's not a primary offense, people will not pay it no mind. I just want to make sure it's safe to the citizens.
And just to clarify, the code sections that are being, this is for council, just the code sections being modified are already a primary offense. You're modifying an existing primary offense, really, not creating a new one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Senator Abbott.
Yeah, just for clarification, I think it was Senator Suderline who asked about other states. And in California, it's illegal for a bulb to be other than white light or amber in the case of turn signals. And according to something else, it's true in New York, Texas, Nevada. They've banned, I don't know what xenon HID headlights are, but they emit a blue tint, and they were banned in those states as of June. Yeah.
Thank you, Senator Abbott. Just in my observation about this, I know we made a lot of changes about pulling people over as a primary offense for an inspection sticker or a state tag. Those things don't hurt other people. You know, they may be illegal and what have you, and there was some notions and some data that said that people were of color and minorities were pulled over more frequently and what have you. But this is something, as Senator Spruill has explained, where the blue light could be misinterpreted and do actual harm to other people, whereas a dead tag on your car is not going to do that. And I think that's the fundamental difference here, that why this could be a primary offense. And with that, I would ask, do the state police have any position on this bill?
Mr. Chairman, Ron Maxey. We have no position. Just if I can answer Senator Newman's question about the blue bulb, as to how the inspection regulation relates to this, that may provide some clarification that might help this.
Please go ahead.
This would help the bill. Okay, currently under the inspection regulation, it's 19 VAC 30-70-510. A vehicle would be rejected if it emits a light other than white. If we wanted to stay away from a blue bulb, because Senator Newman is correct that some of the bulbs are actually blue tinted but produce a white light. So if we are going to say, or by using a blue bulb, potentially that could be an issue. So maybe the language emit a light other than white would allow, if that blue bulb is blue but produces a white light, it would still make that legal. That may assist us. So it gives you what you want. Okay.
Do you understand? Excuse me, staff, do you understand the motion that Senator Newman is putting forth to solve that problem?
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, it would be light that emits, a bulb that emits a light other than a white light. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, in the administrative code, it reads, emit a light other than white would be a rejectable light. So.
Mr. Chair,
McClellan.
I think what we want to say is a bulb that emits a light that is blue, because I think what Senator Sproul is trying to do is just get at blue lights, not every possible color. And it could be, you could have a green headlight and it may not pass inspection, but I don't think he's trying to make that a primary offense that's illegal. That's a different bill.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, on line
Senator
29, it says that cause such headlights to appear as a blue light. I think if you lost the language that says such as by covering the headlights with a tinting film or by using blue bulbs, just by losing that language, that would be sufficient. And then you would need to make a similar modification on line 65, so it would say that cause the headlights to appear as a blue light, and then get rid of, period, and get rid of the rest of the new language. Is there a third?
Is that, would that be a substitute?
If it's friendly, it would also need to be on line 18. Yeah.
Senator Newman, what do you think?
I guess I just have questions. I think we all want to get to the same place,
Yes, sir.
right? So I guess to Devin, is what we're going to do is take out the film, or is just saying by using a blue bulb that emits a blue light, right? I mean, I think to wherever the state police are, what they're saying is there are these lights that are bluish but emit a white light. In other words, would it be that it is a blue bulb that emits a blue light? I know it's a little redundant, but at least it allows you to replace your bulb with one of the new bulbs.
Mr. Chair.
Senator McClellan.
I think by putting a period on line 18 after a blue light and striking comma such as, everything after such as is an example and is not necessary and frankly could create legal ambiguity if anyone ever sues under this piece. But if you just say, if you do something that causes your light to appear blue, period, you've broken the law, aftermarket, right?
Senator Newman, does that get at your?
Maybe. If we do that, let's keep talking about it, because this light, I don't know if you've seen them, but these lights, they do have this background of blue to them, the brand new lights and new vehicles, and I just don't want to capture that. They're trying to produce white. They're not trying to produce blue, but based on their construction, they produce a background of blue.
Mr. Chairman, but the light that he's talking
Senator
about, what he's talking about, that comes with a new car already. And it appears blue, but it's a light.
It's a white.
Yeah, it's a light, but it's not a blue light. But you can buy that with the car when you buy the car now. But you can't buy the car now with a blue light, a blue bulb. So what he's talking about is right. You can do that right. You can buy a brand new car right now with that, what he's talking about. We're not talking about that. Because that, it shows a tint blue, if I want to use the word tint blue, but it's a clear bulb. It's a clear light.
Yeah. And I would argue that when it came time to replace that's not a modification, that, you know.
Mr. Chairman, the concern is that if you end up with a modification in that you have an old yellow light and you're replacing it with a new light, and I think eventually they're all going to be these new lights, right? Is that a modification? I don't know.
If it's legal, I don't know. Hard to say. Staff, do you have an opinion on that?
Mr. Chair.
Senator McClellan.
I'm going to make a motion. I think it might be, I think we all know what we're trying to do. I'm not sure we are going to get the language today. I would suggest this go by for the day to allow staff to draft an amendment to get at what we all agree we're trying to do.
And let's.
I was going to say it.
Yeah, if it's all right with the committee, why don't we move this to next week and allow staff to research the questions that have been posed by the panel, and we'll get back to your bill next week and hopefully have the right solution, because I think we all want to get there. We just want to be precise with our language and our definitions to make sure that we're in good order. Does that work for you, Senator Sproul?
question to the staff, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry?
Do you know what we are trying to do?
Yes.
Well, I'm happy.
All right, thank you very much. So without objection, the bill will go by for the week. And so thank you, Senator Spruill.
Thank you.
And all right, if I could, at this point in time, we have one more bill. It would. What? Oh, we didn't have one in. We also have, can I get a motion to pass by Senator Saslaw's Bill 1009?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We'll move, we'll take that by. And if I could ask Senator Favola to assume the chairmanship here, I have a bill to present, Senate Bill 982.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 982 is an expansion of the slow down and move over law that we have here in Virginia. As you know, we changed it for emergency vehicles so that it was a reckless driving, year in jail, $1,000 fine, I believe, for not, if possible, not moving over, slowing down and moving over to get away from a disabled vehicle with being serviced by an emergency vehicle on the side of the road. We expanded that for other vehicles that are servicing that may not be police and what have you, and have made that a traffic offense. And what this does is make it a traffic offense for anybody who is displaying their emergency flashers, that they have a sign out that says to slow down, and or has flares that have been properly set out for to let people know that there's a disabled vehicle on the side of the road. In a report from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, using federal crash statistics, transportation data analysis firm Impact Research estimated that 566 people were killed and 14,371 injured each year over 2016 through 18 in crashes on all types of roads involving a disabled vehicle in which visibility was likely a factor. The annual society cost of these crashes totaled around $8.8 billion in medical payments, lost wages, and the less easily quantifiable costs of death or disability. And if I could, Madam Chair, I'll take any initial questions, but I'd like to have someone from AAA who's done some of the work on this to be able to testify on some of the other statistics that they have that may give the committee some comfort.
Okay, very well.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, there's a question, a technical question. Go
So-
ahead, Senator Spruill.
So when someone's on the road and
Could you
pull
turn
the
your
side-
mic?
Sorry, when someone's on the side of the road with the flashing on, and it might not be an emergency, just pull on the side of the road for whatever reason, then so you're saying does that fall in that category? Let's say, for example, I can drive 3 hours. After 3 hours, I get kind of tired. But here in Washington, D.C., I found myself doze off. I put on the side of the road, put my flashing on for about 5 or 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, then going about my business. So are you talking about that as well? Because there was no accident, there's nothing wrong, but I felt like I was tired, so I'm going to pull over for about 5 minutes and put my flashlight on.
Well, I think that what we're talking about there is a disabled driver who's tired, but I think that would fit into the bill. I don't think we're going to parse what the particular reason was. Maybe a flat tire. It may be anything else. But as Secretary Miller stated, the real goal of the Secretariat is safety. And if a driver pulls over to rest or for whatever reason that was going to improve their ability to operate an automobile, I think we ought to give them the courtesy of keeping them safe by having people slow down and move over. And remember, it's only on certain roads as already defined. You know, it can't be on a one-lane road. And it's only when it's feasible to safely do so. You can't jerk your car, into a car in another lane. It has to be done appropriately. But if there are no other questions right now.
Any further questions, colleagues? Okay, seeing none, let's hear from
Some friend from
AAA.
AAA.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Carter Whitelow with AAA. We're a membership-based organization that takes care of our members by towing them, doing roadside service, and also advocating for motorists of all kinds. I just want to talk to you about one person in particular that I thought about when we were crafting this bill, and his name is Nigel Johnson. He's a basketball player at the University of Virginia, healthy, happy, just had a baby. And he was on his way back from New York, stopped to check a flat tire and got hit by a car and is fully disabled now, can't play with his newborn son. I also have a 71-year-old mom that is terrified to get out of her car when she changes her tire. This bill will make everyone whole and make sure that our motorists are protected from the moment they break down until the moment the tow truck driver gets there. We already have protection for the tow truck drivers and emergency service vehicles, and we want to make sure our motorists are protected as well. Senator Suderline, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I know you had a question for Senator Spruill about neighboring states and whether we have any laws there. We do have laws in neighboring states. Maryland has a slow down, move over law for all pedestrians, as well as Tennessee. So we would be in parity with them. And I hope that, we want to save a life today. So I'm advocating on behalf of SB 982. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any other speakers, Senator Marsden?
No, I don't. However, this has polled, AAA has done polling on this, and I think it's 98%, is it, of people, approve of doing this. I think all of us recognize we get ourselves into vulnerable situations from time to time, and that we need those protections, and everyone's life matters here. We take a more serious look at this when it comes to emergency personnel who have to do it frequently, like police officers and fire and rescue. That's their job. They're doing this every day, and they need that extra layer of protection that a reckless driving charge brings. But this is just a traffic offense, left in the judgment of the judge.
Thank you, Senator Marsden. Yes, Senator Cosgrove.
Madam Chairman, myself and my AAA card would move that we report this bill.
I think I have to listen to speakers. I think we are still in a public hearing mode. Are there members of the public who wish to speak to this bill, either pro or con, who are present? Okay, nobody present has indicated a desire to speak. Our clerk, Michael, you have said there's people in Zoom.
Yes, ma'am. I believe there's someone waiting to speak.
Is it one person?
Those in Zoom who would like to speak in support of the bill, please raise your hand electronically. We have one person who would like to speak in support of this bill.
Okay, please let that person into the virtual hearing.
Scott Filing, please unmute and speak.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you for this time very much, Senators of the Transportation Committee. I very much support this Senate Bill 982. I am a 22-year resident of Fauquier County, living directly along Route 17 in Fauquier County between the towns of Marshall and Warrenton, Virginia, where we have a serious speeding problem where massive millions of tractor trailers and commuter traffic are passing through this area. A lot of cars are pulled off on the side of the road. We have a lot of accidents and things like this. This bill would greatly assist to save lives.
Okay.
Our section of Virginia, very much so.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, it appears that we have listened to the speakers who have wanted to present today. Senator Marsden, do you have any closing remarks, and then we can take motions?
No, Madam Chair, other than the gentleman from AAA, this was his first time appearing before a legislative committee, and I think he did a great job.
Yes, he did. So thank you for joining us. Colleagues, the discussion is with the committee.
Okay, I'd like to second the motion that was posed by Senator Cosgrove.
Okay, motion was made by Senator Cosgrove, seconded by Senator Eben. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please open the roll?
Ayes 12, noes 2.
Senator Marsden, your bill reports.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and I believe that concludes the business of the of the committee. We'll see you 1/2 hour after session next Thursday. Thank you. Thank you,
Well
Senator
done.
Favola.
Thank you.